Hi, Luke Gordon, physical therapist here, and in today's video I'm going to talk about how to tell if your rotator cuff is torn. So it's a very common question I get with people with shoulder pain. How do I know what the diagnosis is? Is it just a rotator cuff irritation, tendonitis, tendinosis, or is my rotator cuff actually torn and potentially I need surgery? So in this video, I had a different video, by the way, that talks about if it is torn, whether to decide if you need a surgery or not. But in this video, I'm mainly talking about if it's really torn, like if it's massively torn and you should be getting in to talk to a surgeon right away. So that's what I'm going to talk you through. Again, is it torn to the point where you should be getting in very quickly? So there's some telling signs then. If you've got a really massive rotator cuff tear, that's likely going to need surgery. The first one, it's about three actually. So the first, let's just go through them in order here. So the first one is that for most people with a massive rotator cuff tear or a full thickness tear, meaning it's gone all the way through a good chunk of the tendon, most of them can't raise their arm past about shoulder height or so. So if you've all of a sudden can't raise your arm that high, there's a decent chance you've got a massive tear. What you'll see then with folks is they not only can they not lift it, but if they can lift it, they'll start to lift it with their entire shoulder girdle. So they're like lifting the whole shoulder blade up towards their ear, and they're kind of doing this kind of a thing. So it's really difficult. A lot of times it's painful too, but sometimes with a more massive tear, it's not actually that painful. It just can't be done. So that's your first thing to look at is, can you still lift your arm above shoulder height? The second thing that I think is really telling of a massive or a significant rotator cuff tear is that if it was a sudden change in your ability to move your arm. So again, let's say something happened, you ran into something, you caught something that might actually really stress out your shoulder, and now all of a sudden, yesterday you could lift your arm just fine, but today you can barely get it away from your body. So that's another really telling sign is a sudden change in your ability to lift your arm. The third one that is another telling sign is that if you're trying to do resisted shoulder external rotation, and I apologize, I didn't scoot back far enough on the camera here, but let's say your arm's at your side here. External rotation means that if your arm is pointed straight forward, you're rotating your arm out away from your body like that. So let's say you put your arm back in neutral where it's still going out straight into your body, and you try to push out into something like your opposite hand or like your friend's hand. You try to push out and you really can't push. That's a really, really good sign that your rotator cuff is significantly torn. Again, not always painful. It just could be like you just have no strength there. So again, you can try that external rotation motion against a wall or against a friend. In the clinic, of course, I just have people put their arm straight out in front of them, have them push into my arm. If there's no strength there, there's a good chance that you have a rotator cuff tear that you want to get in to see a surgeon quickly. Last advice before I go with this video then is if you're meeting those criteria or for whatever other reason you think you might have a massive tear or a significant tear that's going to require surgery, don't wait. Get in to see your surgeon as quickly as possible. Get in to see your PT if you want them to look you over first, because typically you're going to need to get an MRI and you're going to need to talk to a surgeon to get that surgery. And if you do have a massive tear or just a significant tear, I keep using that word massive, I'm not trying to scare you, I promise. But if you have a significant tear and you do need surgery, you want to decide that quickly. Because what will happen with that tissue, like say your supraspinatus is torn up here in that rotator cuff, that tissue will actually deteriorate over time if it's completely torn, and potentially the tissue will start to retract, meaning that it's less likely that you're going to have a positive surgical outcome, because then the surgeon has to basically go and like grab that tissue and try to pull it back to where it started. So again, try to figure this all out quickly. Use those three things as kind of a guide to give you some insight as to whether you have a massive tear, significant tear. Talk to your surgeon, PT quickly to get the ball rolling. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.